Morning everyone, hope you're well. Yeah, early morning wander. The odd exercise has been on the back burner a little bit lately, so we're starting to put water on the rice, which it's the first bay. It's a bit after 5:30. Yeah, just been standing here waiting for the sun to come up a little bit, just to get a bit of better look what's going on. Yeah, so we set. The water started last night, about 9:15, and yeah, I've had the water monitor set up here in the bay. I just sort of picked where I thought a high spot might have been, and it went off about quarter to 5. So yeah, I just thought there's no rush to get down there. So yeah, just come for a wander down and have a look round, and but yeah, it's I've sort of moved the monitor, and yeah, there's still a fair half the bay'd still be dry yet. So yeah, we've just moved it to the higher spot, and yeah, so we've got 12 megs of water coming in, which is a fair bit. We don't generally run that much, but given how this system works, we can sort of pump a fair bit or run a fair bit of water onto it. Yeah, so checked on Brendan last night. He's still going alright cutting hay. I don't think he'll finish this first lot today, but he'll be very close. And yeah, we'll get back to cutting hay again today. We had a few showers yesterday. It was pretty cold and miserable sort of a day, but we're back to blue skies again from now on for a while. I think it's going to warm up again next week. But yeah, I'm going to start and backline a mob of ewes this morning. I'll backline some of our main ewes, older ewes, and yeah, Tony's the hay we put up out the back farm, we're going to put a fence around it. We've just sort of paddock stacked it, so he's going to do that, and then yeah, we'll get back into cutting our own hay, and yeah, look, hopefully the guys with the strip till job for the corn, they'll be back today as well. We haven't, yeah, they haven't struck a blow since we first started, and it being too wet. So anyway, I'll wander home and have a feed, and yeah, find the next job. Alright, so we're just back on a mob of ewes out here at the other farm. I think I said we're going to slowly start to pull them out of containment now and put them back into paddocks, and shush you, I'll introduce you in a minute. So yeah, we're going to start and put them back out in the paddocks now, pre-joining. Those ears that are, I keep saying this, but you guys that have been watching on for ages, back during winter a few months ago now, we were having trouble with a couple of rams that kept jumping fences and getting back in with the ewes, and it seems to happen every year for whatever reason. Yeah, we just get one or two rams that want to misbehave and not stay where they're supposed to. This is what happens. We end up with these little guys out of season. So look, it's not a big drama. I actually pulled out 2 or 3 ewes there that I'm going to keep in the containment, and they're that are going to lamb, and there's 2 or 3 ewes that I left behind in containment that have lambed. So there's probably, I don't know, 10 lambs in this mob maybe that are, and there's a couple here at the back. If the camera I might pick these little guys up in a minute too. Yeah, the ewes they've obviously, the rams have been in there long enough to get the job done. So anyway, it is what it is. It's a bit of a pain in the bum, just managing them this time of year. But yeah, doesn't look like. That's why I sort of thought I'd go through and pull them out while I could. And yeah, just we can keep an eye on them then. And I'd have put a squirt of fly stuff on their bums as well. But when they get a bit bigger, we'll have them back in the next month or so. We'll put a ring on their tail and give them a needle, and yeah, they should be right then. Just come to check where this rice water's up to. So these are the older style stops we've got. So they've just got a timber board that we drop in to block them off, and then we can, the more boards we put in, we can regulate the water that way. So I had the water monitor set up in in the front first bay here that you guys are familiar with, and you can just see, I'll wander up there and give you a better look. So but yeah, we're just flooding this, and then yeah, just putting the water on and then draining the water off, and so on until we get it all done. So Yeah, and this just, it helps with duck management and that sort of stuff as well. One thing, look, rice gets a pretty tough rap at times, and no doubt someone will comment on the job, but one thing it does create an artificial wetland. And you know, even this morning I haven't seen a black swan around here for God knows how long, and sure enough this morning there was a mob of black swans flying around, so it's almost like they can smell it out. But when we were growing it a bit more regularly, sort of, well, summer crop in general, back, you know, 2015, 16 round then, we actually had a mob of brolgers that would come in, and 9 or 10 brolgers, and they'd basically be here for the summer. So they turned up one year, and they were here for a couple of days, and we actually didn't have any summer crop in, and they upped and left, and we didn't see them again. So I'm hoping those guys turn up, because they are pretty cool birds. So yeah, fingers crossed. But yeah, there's plenty of ducks, and umpteen different varieties of ducks. There's plenty of mountain ducks and that getting around, and teal and black ducks. So yeah, it's one thing. Like this morning, you could hear the frogs were going nuts, and yeah, it does create that artificial wetland while we're growing it. So yeah, it's not all bad as some people would lead you to believe. Yeah, you can just see here as the water slowly building up. I reckon it'll be another probably 3 hours maybe, and yeah, the water will have worked its way through to this bay, and then but yeah, I've just got the monitors out there, if you can see it. I can't see it, I've got my sunglasses on, I can't see the screen. So yeah, little monitors out there, so I'll set him up here in what I sort of guess a bit of a high spot. And these bays, I should have showed you, these 3 top bays, there is still a bit of legacy from when we had it in border check. So a bit like the setup where we've got the where we're going to grow the corn, and so there used to be banks that ran east-west across these bays. So in time, you know, if we had a bit more time this year, we probably should have relasered these just to take those, fill the low spots in and get rid of the high spots. But anyway, it works all right, so I wasn't sort of too concerned. So yeah, I just set me little mate up here in the middle of the bay. We might straighten him up, he's a bit crooked. It's better. Yeah, and again, if you haven't seen this guy, once the water hits it, it just sends me a text message. It just saves a lot of time. I was going to say a bit of time. It saves a hell of a lot of time. Just with, yeah, having to come back down and check where the water's at. Yeah, it just adds a bit of precision to the job, which is, yeah, takes a lot of the work out of it, which is good. Anyway, hopefully a couple of hours we'll have another one watered. I didn't mention, Tony, we started the irrigator on the wheat again this morning. So the probes, it's amazing, you know, we had 70 mil of rain nearly 10 days ago now, and it's amazing the crop's still using moisture. It's yeah, it's sort of, the probe was telling us we need to sort of put that 15 mil on to top the profile back up again. So if you've been watching on, we topped this dam up with runoff water off the rice the other day. Yeah, so we're just pumping that water back onto another crop now. So we'll probably get it should what's in the dam here should be enough to put the 15 mil on the 35 or 40 hectares or whatever's under that irrigator. Just come down, move down. I'm just going to pack this pump up and move it, and I'll use it just to, well, you'll see what we're going to do with it, but we'll just use it to transfer a bit of runoff water onto some different bays of rice over there. Yeah, so just to get the water off those bays a bit quicker, but 2, just to get it probably where we want it. We'll only have to do it this time with the flush, maybe next time with the flush. What I probably haven't touched on with the rice a bit, why we're watering it again now, essentially we're flush with what we call a flush to lock the chemical up that we've been putting out on it. It just basically locks it in the soil, and the aquatic weeds are a bit of a different beast to you know, broadacre stuff. Just the way the chemical shifts through the plant. Just talking to the aggro the other day, which I didn't know. It's sort of, yeah, so they can be a bit tricky to kill, so a bit like the sedge we've been talking about, trying to get on top of it. So that's the reason we've gone about the chemical mix we have. But yeah, this is standard practice. Yeah, the 3-way mix, and then give it a flush of water, and then once the crop gets up, we'll come in with some urea and top dress it. And whether we put the water on it permanently, or we might hold off the urea and give it another flush just with the weeds. Anyway, we'll just, yeah, we'll work that one out as the time comes. But hopefully after this flush, you know, in 4 or 5 days time, and apologies for the wind, it's blowing from the south, it's pretty cold, turned into a pretty cold sort of a day again. Yeah, hopefully in sort of 4 or 5 days time, we'll have the crop up out of the ground, so it'll be, yeah, good to be able to actually see what we're on about. As per usual, we're sort of jumping around a little bit. I'm on the mower now. There's a bit of a crappy a bit here, but what's happened is Brendan, he's not 100% sure whether he's picked something up through the mower, but he's done a bit of damage to the cutter bar on his mower. So we've had about an hour left here of our stuff. We still do have another paddock that I want to cut, but he's started cutting a pivot circle down the contract job, and yeah, so we're just trying to get it finished. But when he can get back, I'll get his machine going, being Friday afternoon and all the rest of it. And the guys in the Cobram Farm, the Massey Ferguson dealers, where we deal with the tractors and the big square baler, they're flat strap, of course, being hay season. So it's going to be Tuesday, I think, before they'll be able to look at it. So he's just he's pulling to bits himself at the moment, just trying to diagnose what's actually happened. But he's hoping they've got plenty of parts in there, so if he can, he may be able to fix it himself with a bit of luck. But they're talking possibly a smashed gear in the cutter bar. So if that's the case, they sort of suggested that it needs to strip the cutter bar and yeah, clean all the metal filings and chunks of metal and that sort of stuff out, which does make pretty good sense. So, but yeah, we're rocking along alright here at the moment. We're not breaking any land speed records, but that's alright. But yeah, another not long we'll have it beat. So yeah, got it on the big fence. I think we had it on the Magnum last time we videoed it. So anyway, this thing's a bit comfier and a bit nicer to drive with the Vario and that sort of stuff. So yeah, anyway, we're getting there. Morning. Got finished with cutting our hay out the back, and yeah, brought the mower back here. Just gave it a service, just greased and tightened a couple of chains and fixed a couple of knife sections up. So looks like Brendan's mower conditioner's terminal, so it's got to go to town. It's not too sure what's happened, whether it's dropped a bearing in the deck or but yeah, he's sort of smashed a gear. I'll get out of the sun. Smashed a gear in the deck, so the deck's got to come apart and get cleaned out. They've got the parts to fix it, but yeah, they just want to pull the deck down and give it a good clean out, so there's no bits of chunks of metal floating around that can get jammed up between gears again. So I'm just going to wait for the dew to nick off a bit, and then I'll take this down. He's actually going to come out and sit on this for the afternoon and try and get that paddock done. It's pretty slow going from all reports. Rice is going well. A little gizmo, a little red mate here that I've talked up and has worked so well. He's had a bit of a hissy fit. Don't know, I did actually drown it there a while ago, and I thought the battery might have been buggered in it. So I've charged it up overnight, and then, well, it didn't go off yesterday, so it sort of doesn't matter with the rice because you can just fill the bays up and that'll let them go, but it should have went off and the battery it was actually flat. So I've charged it up overnight and tried to start it early this morning, and it didn't want to work, so but I'll try and track a new battery down for it. Come out and it's going, so not too sure what's going on. So anyhow, we'll slip down, we'll set it up, and yeah, I'll have a look what's going on with the ROS. Pivot's nearly finished at circle, so yeah, not sure whether we'll have to put any more water on this crop. We'll just see what it does and see what the weather does, and just keep an eye on the probe, and yeah, if it keeps using it, we'll give it another drink. But it's going to be good. We've got the dam about empty now, so yeah, if we've got to put some of this water in it, we can. But yeah, it's going to be a bit tricky just to try and time it as to when to shut the water off, and yeah, so we can keep it all on farm. But I don't know what's going on with this weather. The shower of rain coming now. It's winds around the south. It's not the most pleasant of day, as you've probably picked up with the wind in the microphone. Anyway, righto, it's far too much going on for a weekend, but anyway, and the weather can get in the bin. It's drizzling rain, trying to drizzle rain, and it says it's 13 degrees on the ute. It feels like it's 3 degrees, but anyway. So Miles has got going here. We'll just have a quick look at this strip tilling and have a bit of a yarn about what the go is with it. Alright, so this is what we're sort of ending up with. Essentially, it's called a strip till because we're tilling basically just a strip, or it's only just a rippet tine in the ground. So it's rather than a full cultivation, we're just ripping that strip every 30 inches, and then we're down, I think I said earlier, we're down, I'll nearly need a shovel, we're down about 250 mil, so they're putting urea down at 250, and then he's putting the MAP fertiliser at about 100 mil. So yeah, and then we'll come back in with the planter and plant on top of these rows. So it's so that fertiliser's right where the seed's going to be. When we do, if we end up sowing the other pivot, the pivot, we're sort of just gonna wait and see with that one, and see where we're up to with getting the weed off, and what else is going on at the time. But yeah, we may just spread the fertiliser with the spreader and then multi-disc it in. So it'll be interesting if we do the two, like the comparison and yield. It'll be a bit hard to compare yields because this stuff's going, this stuff will be sown about the 20th of October, and the other stuff mightn't be sown till the 1st or 5th of December. So there's going to be a difference in yield anyway, purely because this one's been sown sooner. So anyway, that's the strip till and how it works. Righto, another day about cooked. Strip till's done. It's really good. Looks really good. Escorted Miles back into town. He lives in Victoria, so we've got to negotiate the river crossings. So just escorted him in and blocked the bridge over the river at Mulwala and Yarrawonga. If anyone knows that bridge, it's not a lot of fun. They've been fighting over building a new one forever, and probably it'll be lucky if there's a new one built in my lifetime. But anyway, that's another argument for another day. So yeah, got that done. I took our mower conditioner down and had a go at cutting the vetch where Brendan was. Now, yeah, I wouldn't say it was an epic failure, but it didn't really go to plan. It's quite wet. We'd had that shower rain today, so the conditions were pretty ordinary anyway. But it's quite down and quite wet, and point of nearly getting bogged. That's how wet the ground is. So the plants are pulling out of the ground and also dragging. And we're also having trouble. Downfall with those sickle knives is the ryegrass. It's pretty hard to cut it. They just sort of don't like ryegrass all that much, and it we were finding just the wet, sloppy stuff was hanging in the knife a bit. So we need a couple of hot days, but also I was cutting a lot closer to the ground than Brendan was. So I just seem to be getting, whether we can probably afford to come up a bit. With the reel on the front, it does pick the stuff up. So I'm just been thinking about at the Savo how we can get it to go, and I can actually lift. It's got skids on the bottom of the mower that I can actually drop down, which in turn lifts the mower up. So I might even slip down there tomorrow. I'm conscious it's the weekend. I'm trying not to work all weekend, but I might. It's very slow going, 3 kilometres an hour was about the tops we could get out of it, just purely because there's a heap of stuff there, and I did block the mower a couple of times. So, but yeah, just thinking if we can lift it up a bit, we might get out of the wet snotty stuff, and with a bit of luck, it might actually improve. But having the shower rain on the vetch and that, it didn't help. So, it's probably a job for me, actually, like to pay a guy. I don't know what we'd be doing an hour, to be honest with you, but to pay someone by the hour to sit on the tractor when we're might only be doing 2 or 3 hectares an hour, I think I'll end up doing that job. And especially if it's blocking and that sort of stuff, I don't want to. We want a good job because we're contracting, and we want to keep the job. So the rest of this is going to be the worst of it. The rest of it's serial, and it's all standing up, and it'll be good going. Hopefully Brendan's going to take his mower in to town, and hopefully it's a couple of days and they've got it up and going again. So when we come to do the cereals, it should be happy days with a bit of luck. But yeah, it's just going to be one of those ones we're just going to have to grit and bear it and fight it to the end. Rice is going all right with the flooding. The water will finish in the morning. I've actually backed the water off. We were getting 12 megs an hour. I've backed it off. It'll change back off to 6. I've probably got too much water there, but I can shuffle a bit round into the pivot dam and that sort of stuff when the time comes. It's very hard to guess how much you've got and how much you need, and it's sort of once you build a head up, all of a sudden you've got plenty of water. So I just moved the pump just to try and pump a bit of water off those first 4 bays. There's not a lot. I'll turn it off tonight before I go to bed. But yeah, it is, now that we've got a head of water, it is running over the bays pretty quickly, which is good. So, but yeah, I backed it off to 6, and I tried to back it back to 3 megs because then I know we can hold that water. We've only got 12 more hours of that water essentially. So yeah, we should get it all right. But yeah, it's just going to be a bit of a juggling act, and I'll probably be up during the night bits trying to, with the water monitor seems to be working okay now. He just had a bit of a hissy fit. He wanted a day off. So anyway, I'm an idiot. Yeah, so we'll use the monitor during the night and probably have to get up a few times during the night just to get it done. So that's no big deal. So tomorrow might be a pretty quiet sort of a day anyway. So anywho, so as you've gathered, there's a heap going on. It's going to only get busier, which seems a bit nuts at the moment. But yeah, once hay and windrowing's going to clash, I've spoken to another young fella that used to work for us, young Tommy. So he's mad keen. He wants to learn how to drive the windrower. So he's going to be a windrowing man this year, because I think Brendan will be pressing hay and windrowing, given that we've got like a 1/10 of the amount of hay on the ground so far, and we're just not getting drying days. So it's going to drag out hay season, so it's going to clash with windrowing, which is fine, because I'd prefer to have sort of too much manpower than not enough. We haven't gone nuts with the windrowing work. We have lost a bit, and we've sort of picked up a bit, so it's actually balanced out, not too bad. But yeah, Tommy was keen, so he'll probably drive the machine during the day, and then yeah, I can drive it into the evening. So we'll try not to run it round the clock if we can, because that is hard work. I've done it plenty of times in previous life, and it does take a bit of doing. And the worst thing is you get out of the windrower, and then you've got to get in the header and yeah, it's a recipe for a balls up. So if we can, you know, run it from, you know, 7 in the morning or 6 in the morning till midnight or something like that, 18 hours a day, you know, if the crops stay standing, it'll be good going. Like, we should get our 8 to 10 hectares an hour out of it. So, you know, if we can do 17 hours a day with moving and that sort of stuff, you know, that's 170 hectares a day. We've got about 1,000 hectares to do, roughly. So yeah, and obviously that'll be spaced out with varieties and maturity times and that sort of stuff as to when it all happens. But fingers crossed, we've got a bit of a plan there. But yeah, so Tommy will come back on board, so which is good. He rang this morning just to see what was going on, so I had been meaning to ring him. And we've got another couple of guys floating around, a couple of young blokes that are a bit keen. A young guy that's going to do. You won't probably see him. He's still at school, finishing year 10, and yeah, he wants to go farming. So he's doing a bit of work experience around the place on a few other farms. So he's going to do a couple of days a week with us for the next 3 weeks, and then we've got another young bloke that he's done a few days with us, and he might give us a hand with raking a bit of hay. He can only sort of work weekends, which is a bit tricky because I'm trying not to work weekends, but at the moment it's just seems to be happening. So once we get going and you know, we start raking hay and carting hay and that sort of stuff, yeah, we might get him on the go too and just see how he goes. He's only a young guy, but he's mad keen. So I'm a bit conscious with, you know, operating machinery and that sort of stuff. Although most of the gear now is pretty easy to drive, I'm not going to bang someone with no experience on a windrower or you know, like a young kid. Tommy's a bit different. Tommy's 18 going on 19, so he's different. But these young guys that are only sort of 15 or 16 with no experience, you know, the Fendt tractors and the telehandler on that, they're easy to drive. So we might get them raking a bit of hay, a bit of basic stuff, stacking a bit of hay, that sort of stuff. But yeah, look, we won't have them operating balers and that sort of stuff just yet. Not for a bit. Obviously, if I'm there with them and might give them a crack at it, it's a bit like driving the header. You know, like might get them in the header and just give them a taste for it while I'm sitting beside them. So anyway, we can worry about that in time. So I'm going to go and have a beer. Thanks for watching again. Yeah, I hope you're getting something out of it. And it is a good thing, I think. So, and the feedback's been really good. So, but yeah. I'll see you on the next one. Ta-da. Bye.